Lemonada.
Ask me, ask Iliza anything. It's time to ask. Ask me all your questions. Leave them in the Instagram comment section. Leave them on your Twitter or leave them on your Facebook. We'll see them, we'll read them, then we'll give you answers. You know it, I've got it. I've got the answer, the answer. You ask me, I'll tell you anything.
It's frozen. Okay, ready?
Immediately. Go
We
for it.
started out with a freeze.
Freeze on our method of talking to each other. This is really starting off great. I think
Well, you know what nobody cares about?
Spoken. What our technical issues?
Yeah, nobody. And this was going to be a bottom of my cob, but I'm just going to say it. I think we're too far into our understanding of technology and basic technology, i.e. Zoom calls, documents, Word documents, whatever, to be on a call with someone and have to hear this. Wait, I lost it. Where is it? Oh, it's right there. Wait, we're right there.
Mm-hmm.
Hi. Oh, so, and then just anyone having, like, it's okay to be imperfect.
Yeah.
But it's more having to hear people sort of reckon with their own mistake in real time.
Yeah.
So for example, I was like, yeah, and yesterday I was on the airplane, sorry, my mouth is so dry. Like, shut up. We do not need an explanation about why you flubbed a word. It's called having a brain.
Right.
It's all of these micro pauses. And as someone who has trouble slowing down and needs to go fast for my own mental health, and I know people will be like, why don't you slow down? Because I'm a caged jaguar. It just drives me crazy. Like on a call. And I'm like, okay, it's the bottom of page 6. Okay, let me find. Wait, why can't I find it? I'm like, because you're on the wrong fucking page. I don't need you to narrate it.
I do think that while I don't want working at home to be taken away and I love it and I do great work, I get very annoyed that it lets other people do whatever. Like, this guy is on the toilet playing his Game Boy because you ask a question in the meeting. He's off camera and he's like, oh, wait, what? Sorry, I missed it. Well, no, you weren't listening because you're doing something else. Like, why do I have to be here if you don't have to be here?
Totally. And so, keep it to yourself. If your kid says something, the dog comes in the room. It's very main character energy. And I can say this as quote unquote talent. People tend to think that what's happening on the other side of their computer, like i.e. in the rest of the room, people want to hear about. Yeah, like maybe if you're Beyonce and I'm on a Zoom with you, those Zooms we do. And she's like, hold on one second. Yeah. Well, just give him peanut butter and jelly. I'd be like, oh, wow. She uses peanut butter just like me. Stars are just like us. But an average person narrating the moments of their mundane lives, I just mute it.
If you're Beyonce, do you think you have to get on Zooms or like someone else has to get on a Zoom for you and report back what happened?
I think you pick and choose.
Yeah. You're on a couple
you jump
Zooms.
on when you need to make it impactful. I'm not even Beyonce. And there's sometimes where I'm like, I'll go in the room and I'll pitch it just to make sure that they can say no to my face. But I think when you give your time, see, right now I'd be like, what is it, little girl? Are you upset? Oh, you know what? She heard somebody at the door and you're like, okay, cool.
I also think if somebody brings up their animal, the animal better be shown in the call. I don't want to just hear that there's an animal underneath you. Bring it up.
I never want to see your cat. I'm never like, oh, what kind of mischief is she getting into?
I'm trying to think what I had a meeting with this guy for. It was for some third-party service. I forget. And he suddenly is like, sorry, one second, adjust himself. And I'm like, what's going on? And he had 5 dachshunds that took turns sitting in his lap.
Oh, when you say adjust yourself, we definitely think of something else.
Well, it was a bunch of baby dachshunds. And so I was like, can you bring them all? Can we only talk about that? That's all I want to talk about now.
When you said adjust yourself, it made me think of this retrofit earthquake guy we had to work with for the house.
Yeah.
And he was an idiot and he hired absolute idiots and he has become a financial nightmare. But when I met him, this guy is half retired, loves wine. He made a dick joke to me. And I wanted to be like, I'm the one writing these checks.
Right.
He said, yeah, I'm going on vacation. And after a glass of wine, I can't touch it. But after somebody says to me can't stand wine, can't touch it. But after a few glasses, I'll let anyone touch it. And I was I almost went
Ugh.
like, are you talking about your penis? Like while I'm writing you a check?
Right,
Or do you
like-
think someone else is writing the check and that it's just like okay to low key sexually harass me?
Yeah, but you always have a lot of weird service people. You had that guy who like did tech installs kind of for your
Folks, in case you don't know about this, when I bought my first house when I was a baby and Emily was my assistant, we, per the recommendation of my child contractor, who was at the time like my age, he recommended some guy to come over and install, you've got a big TV and you want wireless everything and cable box, you want to remote this program. A guy who came over, he was maybe 300 years old and he set up a little chair and table and he said about taping, like what he was doing was actually programming the TV, but he was definitely doing it like in a beta way, like in the way they did it 15 years ago.
Right.
He was at my house for 8 hours programming.
Yeah. And I think kept trying to come back and fix more things. And I was like, no.
But he called you his earth angel.
Oh, he used to just call me all the time to
He
talk
used to
about
just call me?
to just call me to talk about your electronics. And I'm like,
Oh
I
my
think they're
God.
good, but they weren't good because the remote was so complicated that
It was
nothing was ever good. The remote had like a screen on it.
Yes,
It was horrible.
It was like this guy his business was going under. He's like, let me sell this last remote to this unsuspecting girl. Let me sell her these really high-end DVDs before streaming takes over.
You bought
Anyway.
a really intense HD system before those went away. Yeah.
It was awful.
No, it was so stupid.
It was just us, like just two girls, like one barely knowing a little bit more than the other, navigating the world in your Honda.
In my
Not getting
Honda,
any
yeah.
audition. Yeah, well, I miss you.
You got auditions. I would drive you to them. Did you get roles? That's a different question. You got auditions.
Yeah, we're up to our ears in auditions, folks. And we're up to our ears in questions.
Dump.
Thank you.
I take a dump, mommy.
Top of the cup.
It's my top of the cob.
I just strawberries on the top.
The strawberry's on your collar because it looks lovely. Now get out of here.
Okay.
Oh, I like her matching your energy. All right,
I was
we can.
doing a beautiful segue.
I know. We're just getting into the questions.
Good luck,
We're
Scott.
having a
Good luck
crisis.
not making that sound annoying. Like, look, my daughter, as I just went through, but that was funny. Or maybe it wasn't. Maybe I'm tone deaf because I just love her so much.
I mean, the problem is I always think dumps are funny. So I did think it was funny for a very small child to be so proud of pooping.
Oh, she's so proud.
But-
I think all kids are. Like, she'll count the rocks. Like, 1, 2, 3 duties. Okay. Now that we've lost every male listener and every
They're
woman
really over it,
under
yeah.
30 and every child free by choice person, we got 6 people left. Let's get into it.
The most loyal 6. Hey, AIA people. Been a fan since Warpaint. Best Netflix suggestion ever, by the way. 48-year-old married guy. I introduced you to my wife 10 years ago on a road trip, and we love laughing our asses off now every time we go on a long drive listening to each new comedy special you put out. I'm finally writing in because of a rather mundane but really difficult question. I have 4 kids, 24, 16, 15, and 8. It became fairly obvious about 5 years ago that my youngest was on the spectrum. So it's the 8-year-old. When I met my wife 12 years ago, I was a full-time karaoke DJ and worked 6 nights a week and had tons of friends to hang with. I changed careers 7 years ago and got my CDL. Isn't that trucker license?
Is that? How do you know that?
I think it is. It's
What does it stand for?
Commercial driver's license.
Hey,
So
truckers unite.
yeah. I noticed that people slowly started distancing themselves from our life. The pandemic made it even worse. As time went by, I've noticed I have no friends anymore. Outside of social media and coworkers, I haven't talked to anyone in person for months. Because of my son's condition, we can't just get a regular babysitter, so we have to use the system. My older kids live with me full time, but they're working through some severe mental health issues. They're being treated, but they can't really be left alone. My question: I want to be able to take my wife out for a date, but we're kind of stuck doing in-home dates because of our time/childcare restrictions. Can you suggest some in-home ideas to help me get out of the dinner and a movie rut? Sorry for so much context. I'm using my real name, Rich.
Oh my gosh. I thought you were going to ask me like what happened to all my friends. Like I was
I have
about to be
answers
like,
for that. Yeah, I know. You there are a lot of things we could answer. But first, inside date night while the kids are there, can you tell them go in a different room and don't talk to us?
Yeah, how involved are the children in every room? Can they like play a game or something? Let's assume the kids can be out of the way, or maybe it's after they go to bed. I think there's something very romantic about, and I don't know where you live, but in-home sushi bar.
Ooh.
No, and I feel like I've talked about this before, which makes me feel kind of sad that I'm like, I don't have any other ideas. And I'm not a fan of ordering sushi for delivery. I think too many people do it. We have trillions of people eating yellowtail. It's really bad for the planet. But can you get sushi, bring it back, set up? I don't know if you have a bar at your house, or you could do it to your table, put out chopsticks, get a little bottle of sake, put on some nice music, and treat it like you're at a sushi bar. We happen to have a bar at our house. I think there's something really nice about putting out hors d'oeuvres and cooking together, like making it like a little grazing, nibbly kind of time. Everything else kind of involves food. You probably don't want to play like Connect 4 with your wife. Obviously, there was like watching a movie together, which you don't need me to recommend that to you.
Right. They've
I'm
already
trying
got
to think
dinner in a movie.
I don't know. I need to know your setup. Do you have a hot tub? Can you take a walk, or is it so all encompassing, these kids? Can you do what Noah and I did the other night and just pretend you're on a first date in 2006 and just show each other funny YouTube clips? It's kind of fun.
I think, setting up the ambiance. So either like if you're eating at home, like get a big jug of water, like have that, you know what I mean? Like
get a big jug of water.
And have that ready to refill your water glasses.
No, I don't think this is not your question.
Rich, have you seen Sex and the City? Get naked, cover yourself in sushi, and lay there and wait for your wife to find you and say, kids, get out.
Emily's like, I do it and I wait for the cats. Like there's salmon under my armpit. Can you and do you have access to mushrooms? I don't suggest taking mushrooms indoors, but do you have a backyard? No, if you do a low enough
ready
dose
to take care of the kids at any moment.
I mean, if you're just gotta like stay ready all the time, then it's kind of hard to have a date at all. But if you're talking about indoor date, a little bit of mushroom, or even like a little peppering of MDMA, I cannot say that I've done this in my home, and put on some fun music. And that way when the kids interrupt you, you'll be like, I see you for the shining soul you are. Those are my suggestions.
I think you can come up. I feel like there are activities you could do together. Like there's, depending
Puzzle?
on what you're into. I mean, even there's like those murder case things or the horror things where they send you info and you like crack a case, like something where you both are focused on the same thing that's not necessarily a movie could be really fun.
We don't really know much about you, but I do think there's always an elegant way. Chill a nice bottle of wine, make a fun cocktail. Like a lot of people in the pandemic looked up like a complex cocktail to make and enjoy that and just sit on your porch, you know, and look at Zillow like everybody does.
Okay, let's talk about why he doesn't have friends, because I think it's very clear. No, that's not what he asked.
Well, it's very clear because your kids are too much.
You have 4 kids and you're a trucker, so you're not always there. Before, when you were like a DJ, like you were seeing them at your job. You're not seeing one. Like going from a full-time karaoke DJ.
He didn't ask any of this.
I know, but I just want him to know it's not his fault.
Oh, no, I don't think he thinks that. You went from like the most fun guy ever to a trucker. I mean, you already had the kids. It's just a lot, but good for you. What I applaud you on is wanting to carve out the time, because usually when people write in, we have to first say, well, you need to carve out the time. So you're doing it. So you're ahead of most. You're better than most. But I think it's about doing something together. I mean, I can't imagine you as a man like want to do like paint by number or something, but you could always whine and paint something, make something together, Legos. Like, I don't know. It's just about doing something together. You could also each cook something and present it. You could also try a new recipe, like Moroccan chicken. You're like, well, I got to get a tagine. Start from the top. So something like that.
Okay.
Maybe bake a fun dessert. I wouldn't know. Noah does the cooking, but it is really fun when I come in and there's like little snacks set up. Even if it's just like a salami cut up and I can just like nibble on that while I sit with him. That's nice. Maybe you could cook for her.
He's luring you in with little treats.
Yeah, like a rat.
Yeah, he's leaving out little treats like Iliza will wander through here at some point.
Noah is doing the photo shoot for his new cookbook.
Now?
All this week. So our house is completely upside down with props.
Yeah.
Because there's a prop person who comes in, a food stylist, a photographer, an assistant. There's like 8 people in our house. And it's just, there's cameras set up everywhere. But he has to, along with a sous chef and a stylist, make every dish and a lot of it. So every few hours, he just, here he is. Come on in.
There he is.
I was saying every few hours, he just comes in and he hands me food out of the frame. Here, stand out of the frame and like this. I'll just be talking and it'll just be like, oh, okay. Put it in my mouth. I'll just be like,
Lunch is ready.
okay, well, I'm doing this. This is my food.
Do you want to play?
No, I'm okay. I'm not going to eat on the podcast because we're with Lemonada now and we have to take it seriously. So I will be in shortly. Thank you so much.
I'm going to save you a fish taco.
Please. And I'll save you a fish taco.
Oh.
Noah from Los Angeles. Hey, if it's not a saved fish taco, what does that mean?
I'll save you just the taco shell.
No, from Los Angeles.
Calcified vagina. Folks. Oh, well, because I said the thing that it was about. Now I get a look.
No, the word calcified, I think, just shocked me a little bit.
That was hard. That was hard to hear, and it's harder to live with. Let's go to the ad for Calstrax. No. Did your vagina turn into a tusk?
A tusk?
Calcified.
Ugh, like what nails are made out of?
I don't know. It's calcified. Let's get out of this.
We're going to do a confession to escape from this. When I, 26 female, was a sophomore in college, I worked part-time at a big chain craft store. I had gone into the bathroom and found a customer had puked all over the floor in the large stall. I didn't want to have to clean it up, so I left and went to the front of the store to ask the cashier if they wanted me to relieve them for their break, and they did. I waited a few minutes and then told my manager over the radio that a customer had complained about the women's bathroom being dirty. There were only the two of us working the sales floor, and since I was covering a break, she had to clean it. I'm sorry, Kelly, but I was not getting paid enough to deal with that. I love that.
I love it. You got to do what you got to do. But also, it's like, is that something that someone without a hazmat suit should have to do? But also, if you were getting paid a lot, like what is enough to clean up vomit? Because moms do it for free. So what is enough?
I'm trying to think. I guess I don't know. I guess like you prefer vomit to poop, cleaning wise. But
if you got paid a lot, then you'd be like, I'm the head of marketing. I'm not going to pick up this puke. I get paid too much to do this.
Right.
So what is enough?
I don't know. I feel like I would if I can make it someone else's problem. At home, if a pet had thrown up on the floor or something, I'm just walking the other way and it's like someone else will see it. I didn't see that. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't know that was happening.
Live with someone and I do that. I'm like, I don't know where that dish. I'm not going to do that dish. And he does it. So I'm like, he's already doing so many dishes. I'll just leave the one dish because there's something caked on it. I don't want to do this. I have egg baked on it. You're doing them. And he agrees. He's like, I'm already doing them. I'll just leave it. Or if it's something that like, I don't want to put away, I'll be like, put it away. I think it's very human and I'm not a social scientist, but I'm sure there's something called like basic human avoidance where like, if it really hurts no one and you can just not do it.
In this instance, yes, I think because it fell on the manager. Now, if our confession person had said, I took this person's desk at the cashier and then they had to clean up the barf, that sucks. But if the manager has to do it, it's kind of like, well, yeah, you're the manager.
I get paid so much and I'm not going to do it. I think when you get paid a lot, then you're like, no, my role is clearly outlined and this is beneath me. And the whole thing is fucked because then there's no one who gets paid enough or too much to clean the puke. There has to be someone like a janitor whose job it is to do that, which is why you can't ask your employees to just be jacks of all trades, especially at that price point.
How do you feel about, I saw this person talking about when they interview people, and it was controversial. When they interview people for a job, they come into the office, they leave a bunch of dirty coffee cups and stuff out. And if the person doesn't like start cleaning them,
no, that is not,
they don't give them the job. And it's like, if I'm applying for a job,
you're misunderstanding it. You're misunderstanding it. It was if the person interviewing is offered a cup of coffee that they consume and do not take that.
No, this is another guy.
No.
Right. That's
insane.
This is a real man that was like.
Unless you're auditioning for the role of janitor.
Right.
Why would you take someone else's refuse?
I'm not walking in and being like, I should clean up around here if I'm not being paid yet.
No. Barely clean up my own mess. But also it's not about, that's insane. That guy took that a step
That was
too
just
far.
one wacko who didn't get the like, yeah, you don't leave your coffee cup if you're offered one like up your butthole. Like you put it back where it goes.
That make us feel like, oh, if I do something unorthodox at a meeting, oh, could I wow him? No, the answer is the job was already taken and they were just wasting your time. Next question. It's true.
We have a question for a misguided coworker. Hi, Liza and Emily. I have a question about well-meaning but misguided comments. My husband, 39, and I, 35, are trying for our second baby via IVF. We had our son, now 3.5, through IVF after being unable to do so naturally thanks to my PCOS. We got a lot of, well, if you just relax, it'll happen. And you could always adopt comments from caring people who didn't realize how much those hurt. I kept my replies vague because unless you have to go through this process, it's really hard to understand, and I get that. Thankfully, we had my son after our second transfer was successful. My coworkers and some family know about us being in the process again because I've had to come in late to work in order to make my blood work appointments. Yesterday, when I was worrying about today's pregnancy blood work and made an offhand comment about there being so many pregnant women around, a coworker / reasonably close friend commented that at least I had one child and that I have coworkers just now having their first. I feel like I had been punched. I am so thrilled for those people. I would never resent them for their joy and do understand I'm lucky to have the wonderful child I have. But two things can be true at the same time. I could be happy for them and worried for me. Now, we've just found out this morning that my first transfer for baby number 2 failed, and I'm devastated. I've been so helpful and it didn't work. I don't want to go back to work and deal with comments. And I've resolved to go as radio silent as I can for our next try and hope they just don't notice me coming in a bit late every so often. If these were cruel comments with the intent to make me feel bad, I could write them off or clap back. But when it comes from people you love who just don't get it, how do you handle it? I don't want them to feel bad, but at the same time, I'm hurt. The comment was made in passing by this coworker. I doubt she even remembers saying it, but it stuck with me because my emotions were all over the place and I'm having a hard time. What can I say to comments like this in the future?
You're upset because your friend and coworker said, at least you have your one baby.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to write off your feelings and what you're going through and how sensitive this whole journey is. There is a version where your friend is not privy to all that, and having not gone through it, she can't possibly understand everything that you're going through hormonally, spiritually, physically, mentally, all of that stuff. That comment, I think you're taking it harsh. I know you're not asking to hear that, but she meant it like, and that actually it had nothing to do with you because she meant it like, at least you have yours. Look what they're going through. Like, you guys are on such different planes. And I think the more you go in your motherhood journey, the more disparate you're going to feel in terms of like your connection to women who are not in the same place that you are. And the more that you do this, the less that I can tell you, the less that I feel, it's not about not talking to women who don't have kids, but they can't possibly get it. They don't need to get it in the way that anyone going through anything cannot fully explain it, and no one can fully comprehend what another human is going through, right? And so I think as women on any sort of pregnancy journey or anything like that, we have to let go of the need to explain anything. And you also kind of have to just know that people are going to say ignorant, dumb things. And unless you handle it perfectly, you are going to come off as testy, and you are going to come off as someone, it's like, oh, wow, I guess she really took my head off. It's not about not expressing yourself. There's the version where you sit down and you're like, hey, I need you to know that when you said that, it really hurt. And your friend's going to be like, I'm not sorry. I didn't do anything to hurt you. It was a comment. You took it, I think you're putting yourself in a tough place. It would be different if she said like, ugh, people who do IVF are so desperate, or something that was like directly about you.
But I get how it's so like demeaning isn't the right word. I can't think of quite the right word, but it's like, who
She's
cares?
writing off your
You got
feelings.
one. Right.
You
Like
already
just
got
totally
one.
like, it's like, this is still horrible.
It is, but it does feel like her comment literally had nothing to do with you. And if anything, she was
100%.
empathizing with these people who are going through it for the first time, I guess.
I think she just didn't get it. I think there's sometimes where people
She
say
can't.
things and they're upset about something and you're like, I don't want to make it worse. So I'll try to make it less important so that you're less upset. So it's like, I mean, you've already got one, so you're doing good. Like you're trying to just make the person feel better because they've indicated they want to be made to feel better in some way.
The less, and this is a hard lesson, but it's true. Because we want to share things with people, but she's not going through what you're going through. So it's not that she's a bad person, but like she's not going to be able, and she's not your best friend either. She's a coworker. It's not on her to understand the nuances and complexities of all of these things. I mean, the amount of women who very indelicately, in trying to be funny, have been like, wow, I can't believe you pushed that out of your vagina. And you're like, yeah, so you can't believe how most of humanity arrives on this planet. Like there's an indelicate way that women who either, whether they're ignorant to it, not privy to it, just don't care, sort of view motherhood and people pursuing that. It is such a delicate, beautiful, gut-wrenching thing all at once. And what you find along the way is that it's not always handled as delicately as you would like it. And so I don't want to tell you to toughen up, but I don't blame you for kind of going radio silent, be like, I had to go to the dentist. Just don't share this stuff because you're never going to get the answer. We get so many questions on this podcast about, well, and they said this about my pregnancy, and I didn't know if I could say this. It's really hard for people who aren't going through it to do anything right, because they don't know what you're going through.
Yeah.
She's not going to know that you had that bad result this morning. And then what if she's like, oh, I could never handle more than one. And then it's going to upset you, So I guess you have to choose your battles and you have to decide, is this friendship worth it enough? It would be different if she was always saying things like that, but it sounds like one comment that you might have to let go.
I also think to an extent, not that you can't talk about yourself, but if you don't want your coworker to comment on your pregnancy, don't talk to them about your pregnancy.
That's right. We cannot pick and choose. When you let someone in, you say something personal about yourself, you cannot monitor their reactions. It's out there. And that's a tough thing about being a girl because people are always weighing in on our weight, our looks. I had somebody the other day who told me I was having a midlife crisis because I posted a picture of me in like really short shorts and tights. It's always younger women weighing in on you being older. It's older women telling you you're not doing enough. You're too fat. You're too thin. You don't look good. It's always there. And this is a new layer of it because you're trying to have a second baby in a pretty brutal way. Like IVF is no picnic.
Yeah.
And so I guess the answer is it never fucking ends.
Right.
And all you can control is how much merit you give to the comments of people who really have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I say nothing. When I get like someone younger who's like, that came out of your cooch, I'm just like,
how often is this being said to you?
Enough that I notice that I think women do it out of nervousness.
Yeah.
And by the way, like if you're like if you're, I don't know, a 25-year-old girl, like you don't need to have an opinion on pregnancy. And I don't care if you do. Like you'll get there when you get there.
Because your baby is so big. That's why it happens.
My children are gigantic.
Yeah. All right. Gay brother shotgun wedding drama. Hi, Iliza, Emily, and Hot Scotty. I am such a big fan of y'all. AIA has been my comfort podcast for years. I've re-listened several times. Thank you for always giving the best content. I don't think that you guys have gotten a question quite like this. I'll try to be as concise as possible. At the end of January, my brother, 30, gay, male, then boyfriend, 27, gray, gay, trans, not gray, gay.
My brother, then boyfriend. What?
No, my brother.
And his then boyfriend.
His then boyfriend, 27, gay, trans man, AFAB, assigned female at birth, and their roommate, 30, queer, has been BFFs with my boyfriend for 14 years, and they dated.
I'm sorry, can you do that again, Emily? And by the way, if you're a trans man, isn't it given that you were born a woman?
Yeah, I think that, I don't know. They're just, okay.
I'm just,
my brother.
No one's like, I'm a man, I'm a trans man, but I was born a man. I didn't feel like one for a little bit, but I'm back. Okay, so the guy
brother,
writing in,
30, gay.
My brother's 30 and he's gay. And his boyfriend was also gay. Shocker.
Brother's boyfriend, 27, gay, trans man. Their roommate, 30, queer, has been BFFs with my brother for 14 years, and they dated for 3 years before he came out. So it sounds like the roommate is a woman. They dated before he came out as gay.
Maybe. Oh, before he came out. Got it. Okay.
Came to visit for my brother's 30th birthday. They live in Michigan, about 3.5 hours away from where we grew up. And I, 28, straight, female, still live outside of Chicago. We were sitting down for brunch. Me, my husband, my brother, his boyfriend, his roommate, and my parents.
Okay.
When he announced that he and his boyfriend were getting married. This was not a huge surprise. They've been together for 5 years and had talked about getting married before. The big surprise came when they said the wedding was going to be in 2 weeks.
Well, they're boys. Oh.
We were all super surprised at the timeline. I asked why in 2 weeks, and they said they had concerns about the political climate in the country, and they wanted to get his boyfriend on my brother's insurance so that he could look for a job that is 30 hours a week instead of his current 40-hour-a-week job. He ended up quitting his job the Tuesday after they married before having something lined up. For some more content. I think the boyfriend wanted to be on the brother's insurance.
So he quit his job so he could be on the insurance.
I think he just quit his job because now he had better insurance and he was like, sucks to be you.
Right. That's the only reason you have a job is for insurance, not for pocket money or paying bills. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. And
Pocket
he ended
money.
up quit for his pocketbook. For some more context, my brother's boyfriend suffers from a lot of mental health issues. He has anxiety and depression that manifests in crippling migraines. He's applied for FMLA at work and calls
What's
sick.
that? Everyone
about
listening
leave.
knows but me.
It's something about leave. It's like getting Family and Medical Leave Act. So it allows eligible employees up to 12 weeks of unpaid leave per year. So that's kid, health conditions, being a caretaker, that kind of stuff. So
You stack it right on top of your vacation days.
no, I mean, you can't
And your
just
sick
take
days?
it. You have to like go through like I can't just take 12 weeks unless
I got
something
a
goes
big
wrong.
headache and I'm pregnant and I'm sick.
Headache and I'm pregnant. So I need separate weeks off for both of those.
But concurrent. I'm going to be sick. Then we're having the baby. Then I'll be sick again. Then I have the the FML.
Yeah.
And then a
the
sick
fuck
day.
my life absence. Yeah.
It's all happening at once. I'm so ill. Okay.
Okay. He calls in sick 3 to 4 times a month due to mental health.
Oh, God.
My brother and his roommate tend to handle him with kid gloves, especially since his mom passed away 3 years ago. His dad and sister are still around and are very supportive and involved in his life. They live 20 minutes from my brother and his husband. Is he a boyfriend or husband? I like his boyfriend. I think he's a good person, but I think he is very okay with the 3 of them centering their lives around his mental health.
Yeah.
Even though my brother made it seem like not a huge deal and framed it as more of a formality, me, my mom, and my 28-month-old son cleared our schedules. So again, the 20-month-old had a lot going on and planned on driving up for the weekend to attend the wedding. My dad kind of ignores the fact that my brother is gay and avoids the subject, so he was not going to attend. Okay. That seems like a big
said that pretty
piece of
casually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The wedding was going to be very small, about 8 people in attendance. We were all set to go. And then a few
Are
days.
the other people, his husband's split personalities?
Yeah. We're all set to go. A few days before we were set to drive up, the weather forecast called for snowstorms where I live and in Michigan.
What part of this was, I'm going to keep this succinct?
This is all critical
I'm hearing
info.
a weather report? Okay.
I told my brother we would keep an eye on the weather, but if the forecast didn't change, we would not be able to drive up.
Got it.
The morning, we were set to leave. The forecast was still calling for snow, so we had to make the hard call to not drive up. Me and my mom were devastated. My mom sobbed for hours to not go, but we didn't think it was safe to drive up, especially with my toddler. We tried to figure out several ways, including leaving my child at home, but all of them had the potential to hit the snowstorm. My brother was furious. He was livid that we did not try harder to get to Michigan. He said we made it clear that he is not a priority and that he cannot rely on us to be there for him if he really needs us. He said if it were him, he would have packed up his toddler, at least tried to drive. Mind you, he said that as a person who does not have children and does not want children.
Also, you did try and you can't.
It wasn't safe.
It doesn't mean you tried. I thought about it. I tried all the options. You did try.
He accused us of not placing as much value on his wedding as we did on mine that happened 5 years ago because they were being non-traditional. We have had several very emotional conversations over the past few days, and I've determined that he is never going on to understand the decision to not drive up in the snow. I guess my question is, do you think I was wrong for not going to his wedding? And how do we move forward from here? We're on okay terms right now, but I have a feeling this is not going to be the end of his berating of me and my mom. Thanks for all your sage wisdom. You are big sister.
We are big sister. Should we say it together?
No, the sound effect will say it together.
Okay.
We never have to do it again. That's the beauty of Scott.
We are Big Sister.
Your brother is insecure about his partner. And he's taking it out on you and your mom. Your brother needs you and your mom because he needs support because his partner is a lot. And your brother rushed into this marriage and he's extra angry about it. There's no evidence to support that your mom and you are mad about him being gay. It's a little weird that you're like, and the dad doesn't like it, so he's not going. But I think gay people know who's in their corner and who isn't. And I think it's a little harsh for him to be like, you wouldn't put your baby in the snow and drive up to this last minute wedding. That's crazy. But your brother is overcompensating because he's insecure about his partner. And that's what that is. And he will never admit it. He wanted to feel supported. He wants to know that he has your support because he is nervous that this maybe wasn't the right choice. That's what I'm going to put out there.
Yeah, if we had more time, I would say maybe you're at fault because here's the thing. We know it snows in Michigan and Chicago at this time of year. Like, you would book a few extra days to make sure you have time to get up there. With 2 weeks notice, there was not a lot of pivot room. Like, you did the best that you could. You couldn't add on extra days. You know what I mean? Like Iliza, when you're doing a show, if you know I know, but I'm trying as another example. If you know it's like, you're never going to arrive like an hour before the show because what if there's a weather thing?
I do it all the time and it is always down to the wire.
No, you're always coming in like you get there at a reasonable
that's why we
time.
do it. That's why I go to Cleveland the night before. Right. It's a pain in the ass to get there.
Right. Because you have time to prepare.
There is also this thing where like you have to prove your allyship. And it's like, you're like, I love you. You're my brother. I'm glad you're getting married. I couldn't get there. And he's like, well, you didn't come because you don't like that I'm gay. And it is a tough thing to be deemed homophobic or transphobic or racist or all these awful things when you are literally making a choice that you would have made for anyone else. It would have been your straight friend getting married, your straight brother. You still weren't going to drive in a snowstorm. And so it's this thing where as straight people, heteronormative people, or a white person, when someone casts you as that, you recoil because it isn't a microaggression. It's a macro decision to not get in a fucking snowstorm and drive. And what's hurtful is that there's no reason he would think that you're homophobic. And to throw that in your face, it just seems like a giant overcorrect. And that's fucked up.
Also, I think because the dad wasn't coming, it was such an extra sore spot that I was like, oh, they're home with dad. They're all homophobes over there, not coming to my wedding, not dying in the snow in a snowbank.
And by the way, and Emily brings up a good point. I know it seems like a basic point, but he is not a parent. So he does not know what that's like. Not only is it unsafe, that's hours with it. You said 28 months old?
Yeah.
We got to stop using the months. At 28 months, like we're done.
20-month-old.
A 20-month-old baby, that baby's squirming around. It's not going to sit for multiple hours. That's a lot. It's just a lot to strap them in. They don't know why they're strapped in. They need to change their diaper. You got to stop a car in a snowstorm. And so I'm just going to crawl into the back and change their diaper like that, stop to feed them. Like that's a schlep and he doesn't get it. And it's not that people who don't have kids can't get it, but he's so myopic and so like, I've got to get married right now. Where the fuck is everyone? That's a lot. Even without a snowstorm, it's a lot.
Mm-hmm. But you were willing to do it. You were going to do it.
Difficult and unsafe.
Yeah.
And it is, I hate to say it, but it is that thing where as a woman now you're being vilified and you were thinking of your baby first, which is all that will ever matter in this life, is your baby's safety. I have had a relative take my head off because they posted a picture of my child. And granted, it was a very small picture and it was in a montage, but I was like, we don't post pictures of her. And he wouldn't take it down. And we went to the mat on this in an earth-shattering way. And I'm like, I don't owe you a fucking explanation. I've talked about this.
Yeah.
This will not be the first time you get challenged as a mother like this and you made the right choice. Or you're a drama queen and the snow wasn't sticking and you don't like gay people.
I drive differently when I have my cats in the car going to the vet. Like I'm driving more carefully. Like it's such a different mindset than like just get in the car, go on a road trip through the snow. Like no, there's a baby and a mom.
So brother's being a drama queen and a regular queen.
Okay, let's do another marriage one. Hey, Pod Squad. It's a wedding question, specifically my sister's upcoming wedding.
Okay.
For context,
I'm gay. She didn't come to my wedding. Do I go to hers?
I would love if we got both sides of a story.
That
But don't
I would love
lie.
that.
Don't pretend
Yeah.
you're the other side.
Yeah, don't do it to us.
For context, I've always been the black sheep of the family, not self-prescribed. They've actually referred to me as this, as we have very different beliefs/values and are generally just different people. My family is very Christian and conservative and tend to make it their whole personalities, where I am the hippie theater kid who left the church when I was in middle school, knew I was queer when I was very young, and am more of a leftist/progressive. On to the issue. About a year after her divorce, my little sister, who was a mom of 3 children, all under the age of 8, met a guy 12 years older than her with 2 teenage kids of his own. Within 2 months of dating, she was ring shopping. This was just after Thanksgiving. 2 months after that, they were engaged and they planned to be married this July. I feel like I'm the only one in my family who is thinking about this rationally, as literally everyone else has been doting on her, asking about her wedding, like she isn't sprinting headfirst into a legal relationship with someone who is basically a stranger. I even took the time to tell her before they were engaged that it was scaring me how fast they were moving, that I want her and her kids to be safe and for her to be careful. But she only said that that's how this works when you're divorced. And though I disagreed, she didn't seem to care what I thought, so I've refrained from saying anything else. I don't mean for this to sound heartless, but it seems to me that she's lonely and looking for a way to escape being a single mom, which is understandable, but still deeply concerns me. She recently asked me to be in her wedding, and I don't know how to tell her I don't want to without totally ruining what little relationship we managed to have. This guy, who my family and I have only met once, is reposting pro-Musk and anti-trans media on his socials. He's a good old boy type who loves guns and Jesus, which I can normally shrug off for a holiday meal because that's a good chunk of my family. But the blatant praise for someone throwing up Nazi salutes and tearing apart our government on top of the outright disparagement of queer people makes me feel actually unsafe. I've been more open in the last several years with my family that I'm not straight and have not been shy about my distaste for their politics. But now being asked to stand in front of and support her marriage to someone who, for all intents and purposes, hates me, at the very least, wishes me a not so pleasant stay in eternal hell. And by association, it seems my sister wishes me the same. I don't know what to do here. I'm worried about my sister and my nephlings. Oh, nephlings.
That's awful. You know what?
You
We
say
were on your side.
nephews or
Now we're not.
If it's
That's
multiple
awful.
genders, it's nibblings. If it's boys, it's nephews. I think,
Nephilim sounds like they're half people.
Or
Half
like they're
nephew,
sick.
half nephew, half niece.
I think saying that I can't be in this stupid wedding will create a gap too big to bridge. What do I do? Thank you for your advice, L. I have a slight experience with this
You actually
without going into too much docs
have
and detail.
a full experience with this.
I
and
stood at a
Yeah.
wedding as a participant that was wildly religious, where the attendees were wildly homophobic and made comments about people of color that were at the wedding and people, gay couples that were at the wedding.
It's so
and
weird to invite them anyway. Like, it's one thing if you're racist and homophobic quietly.
They were invited by my side.
Okay.
So it was, and I'm standing up there and the priest is talking about how marriage is only between a man and a woman and the woman must serve. And I'm just like, oh my God, what has happened? And I did it. I sucked it up for family reasons and I got through it. I'm not saying you should do that if you feel actually unsafe. I was ready to fight people if I was like, I'll physically fight. I don't care.
I can validate that.
Yeah, that I was ready
But
to
you
physically-
did it because of your love for this relative.
Yes, and
how close you
relatives
are.
in general. It was just easier. So I understand also though feeling like that's going against, especially you're outspoken politically, you're already dealing with this family. I understand why you're like, I don't want to stand up there and it looks like I'm agreeing with it.
Yeah,
it doesn't. No one's going to be like,
one cares.
She's hateful too. They don't care. It's
That's
about
right.
what you can live with. Can you live
That's
with
true.
not going or going? Which one is
That's right.
worse
What's going to make the bigger headache for you?
for you?
And look, I know that we all have our politics and we all have our beliefs. If this were something that
Here's the thing. I think about a thing like, okay, I'm not trans, but if someone is posting, obviously I support trans, right? And if someone is posting hateful things about trans people who isn't trans, I'm like, you're an idiot and a loser because why do you care? Like this guy just posting angrily about things that have
Hold on.
nothing
Okay,
to do
but this
with
is
him.
spiraling. We don't need to like validate why being anti-gay is a bad
What?
thing. It's not it isn't because
We disagree.
just real quick to get political, we didn't elect Elon Musk. So this is like this random thing we're all having to deal with. Nobody's really like thrilled with this guy on either side. And the question is, are you going to let this guy's random support of this like rogue character who now is in charge of all of our social security numbers?
Mhm.
That's such a big thing to contend with. And you're saying, well, I don't support him. And so the guy that my sister is marrying and I don't support all this. You could do this forever, quite frankly. You could do this with every brand, with everything you buy. You can look politically. Is this something that I'm engaged with? Chances are there are brands that you interact with more often than your sister. Are you doing this with that? This is your one way in a world where we increasingly feel more and more helpless. This is your way of taking a stand. But quite frankly, you're going to be taking a stand and you're going to be screaming into a void. So I get if you and this husband, it doesn't sound like you guys have ever really spoken, had words or he had made you feel, you're saying you feel unsafe. I have to be honest. We hear that a lot. Do you really feel unsafe or are you angry? Because there's a difference. And as a woman, I get feeling unsafe, but there are times I'm like, it's not that I feel unsafe. It's more like mentally unsafe, meaning like, I think you guys hate me. But your physical safety is not at risk here. And so I just don't want you to say that because then you will sound like an alarmist. I'm just putting these things out there. The question is, what will it cost you? If you do this and you express yourself to your sister who is in her own personal hell, marrying this guy, and she's got these 3 little kids and she's just looking for a life raft. You can't possibly imagine that situation. And I know you'd love her to find the right person. And while acknowledging how hard being a single mom is, it is so incredibly mind-bogglingly hard. If you do all this, what will you be left with? A sister who hates you, but maybe you see each other once in a while and you didn't go and your parents are annoyed, or you go and you show everyone what a class act you are and you're there for your sister because you do hope that this is the best for her. You don't have to dance with him. You don't have to say anything. You can just stand there and you can be cordial or don't. But then you're going to have to deal with that fallout. So the question is, like Emily said, like, what can you deal with? Like, what will you put up with?
Yeah.
That's it. This is your chance to be all of the great things. And we've had this question before. Like, you're queer and maybe show them, like, I'm a queer person who also happens to be a human being. You might be the first one of your kind that these people meet. Now, it's not your job to educate everyone, but at the same time, it kind of is. Because I guarantee you on the conservative side of that family, there are people who don't hate queer people and who are normal and they're just there. Chances are the guy's just, he's got his thing and he posted it, but it doesn't mean that he's necessarily a horrific person. That being said, I don't know. I throw people out with the bathwater all the time. So I don't know, but it's your chance. Don't let his actions impact how graceful you can be.
Yes.
Or don't go.
Or don't
And deal
go.
with it later.
Yeah, whatever.
Do you care about your sister this much? Is there a way? Is she the kind of person you have to see anyway? Can you
Right.
get
And
sick?
your whole family is just, yeah.
Can you call in a snowstorm?
Oh, I moved to Michigan and I actually can't go.
I can't make it.
Top of the cob.
Let's do it.
It's the top with a cob. We're doing it right every day. You just take a bite, top of the cob.
Starting with bottom.
Starting with bottom. Fan bottom first, please.
Bottom. Getting my IUD out, my second one, and being a 30-year-old and not remember anything about having a period. I felt like I was 13 again.
It's awful.
Is that good?
It's awful no matter how you slice it. Yeah. And an IUD is awful.
Yeah.
The whole thing's
It's
awful.
all bad. It's all bad. So that's a good bottom.
Mm.
It's so specific.
It's a bloody bottom.
Ew.
Your bottom.
My bottom is I have like, this is a gross one because I felt like you would like it. I have like one baby toenail that like grows in weird.
Is it like a triangle? Like a little sharp? Because mine's
It
like
sharps into the toe.
that. Oh,
So
yeah.
like it sharps into the skin and it hurts. And so I tried to like get it out the other day. And now I'm just missing half a nail and my foot's bleeding and it hurts worse now. And I'm like, I didn't fix anything. In fact, I made it worse. It'll probably grow in worse. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
That tiny toe does weird things. It's like doing its own
It's
version.
like the second from the big toe. It's such a small area that is bothering me so much.
It's like a tiny island nation that like, yeah, is part of a commonwealth, but like they've got their own rituals. Like one of those like island, like off of the coast of England where you're like, we're still British, but we're a little weird.
They're part of the body, but they shouldn't be able to affect me this much. It hurts.
Yeah, those little parts will get you. My bottom is when I have had too much caffeine or I'm just regular and I'm understimulated, the amount that I toggle between like 3 apps on my phone.
Which 3?
Constantly checking like email. And then sometimes I take Instagram off, but like email, Instagram, calendar. Did I do it? Calendar, text, calendar, app, Patreon, calendar, looking for a bump. And when there's nothing, I just go to Google and I type in news.
No.
Like it's disgusting the amount that I refresh my email and because I'm understimulated. So
yeah.
I hate that. That's my bottom. Tip top.
Tip top from
I got a good one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got a good one.
All right, I won't. That's fine. Hey, AIA crew. My top of the cob is that my husband's grandmother loves me more than my husband. She lives in England and while we live in St. Louis, and more than once my husband has sent her a package, letter, email, whereupon she will email me to say, thank you for the lovely blank. Hope you're doing well, Laura. Love, Grandma. Not even mentioning her grandson's name or including him on the thank you email, but rather sending the love and praise to me, the one who literally had nothing to do with what was sent to her. This most recently happened this Christmas when my husband sent her a very thoughtful gift and wrote her a proper Christmas card. But who received the thank you email? Me. And I barely knew he had gotten and sent her something. It's become a bit of a running joke in our house that I've become the favorite grandchild because let's face it, I have. I also want to point out I've only met his grandmother once when we went to England a couple summers ago to meet his extended family, yet I am still the one she reaches out to.
How's your husband feel about that?
She definitely thinks that you're doing it because it's so rare in like pop culture for the man to be getting the gift and writing the note.
I think grandma has dementia.
Your husband needs to get in there. You need to do him a solid. I do love this top.
Yeah.
You need to be like, yes, so-and-so had the bet, like was so excited to send that to you and write you a letter.
There is something when your in-laws, like, I don't think they love their blood, their son more than me, but there's something great to like being loved. Like, I know I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your top?
Okay. My top.
What's that?
There you go.
You got a blown up photo of you, Angie Harmon, and
Lorraine Bracco.
Lorraine Bracco. Oh, wow.
I had my convention over the weekend.
Yeah.
I drove down. It was
Yeah, you
very
did.
fun. I went by
I'm sorry.
myself.
I never got you that restaurant. I forgot.
That was mine. I drove through. I didn't stop play. I just wanted to get to where I was going and then get home. You said when we were talking, you were like, about 3 hours in, you're going to get bored out of a 5-hour drive. It was like an hour and a half in. And I was like, Iliza, I'm so bored.
Start listening to podcasts you never wanted to listen to.
Right. I'm just like, please, I need entertainment. I started calling people like, I guess that one's on the back burner.
Oh, I saw this meme that was basically like having to decline phone calls of all the people I called when I was bored who are now calling me back.
Yes.
I'm like, I don't want to talk.
I used to do that on the way home from work. Like I'd call people, but if they called me back when I was at home, like I'm at home now. I don't want to talk to you.
You missed your 25-minute window while I was walking the dog.
100%.
My top of the cob is someone who quickly says yes and there's no hiccups to dinner plans. Did I say this already?
No, but I thought until you said dinner plans, I thought it was just a slam on me. It's just a friend who quickly says yes. And I was like, oh, that's the opposite of me.
I guess it's really any plan. This would be great, but like we're so busy.
Yeah.
There's so many caveats, especially if you have kids. And Noah and I didn't get to do a date night last week. So we're like, let's just go out Saturday. I don't have any sets. And it's like, well, you have to do so much. Like you've got to book a sitter. Then you've got to pick a restaurant that isn't already booked in LA. So we just started chipping away. I'm like, we asked your mom to babysit. Okay, we have the sitter. So we're going out regardless. Okay, let's just get a reservation. So we pulled in a favor. So we got the reservation. And I was like, now we have to pick someone. And I love all the parents in my daughter's class. So I just picked 2 parents, one of the moms who I'd talked to, and I just sent her a text. And I was like, do you want to join us for dinner? And she, within 5 minutes, was like, yes, we will be there. And there was no, we can't, let me see about a sitter. I just loved that it was, yep, done.
So you picked a mom and her partner. Because at first it sounded like you just picked her husband, right? Because at first it's telling me you just picked 2 moms. Like both of you were cut like they're in a panel interview. You, Noah, and like 2 random moms.
I had met her and I liked her and I knew the little kid. And I was just like, they're all great. And I just picked, I was like, we can do this with all of them. But it was just easy.
Yeah.
She didn't have to get back to me. She didn't text me the next day. It was just like, yep, we'll see you at 7.
I love that.
7:15. And I was like, try to get there early. She's like, we will. And then they were late. And I didn't care because they had agreed to the plan. And we got a little drunk and we had a great time. And it was really nice. And I wore no pants. And the look was fire. And everybody was wrong about making fun. So my Amazon special, A Different Animal, is coming out March 11th. And soon after that, I'm going to be doing some secret sets in New York, but then we're going to be in Toronto and Buffalo. And of course, we have Florida coming up at the end of the month in Fort Lauderdale, in Orlando, in Tampa. Tickets at iliza.com/tour. Please get your tickets there. Please don't go to some weird site where they're going to charge you and maybe not even give you the tickets, because there's nothing I can do about that, because I don't even get your money at that point. Tickets at iliza.com/tour. We're excited to be at our new home, Lemonada. We've got a lot of fun things planned for the show.
I have a different top. When I was in Florida, there was a cat that I met on the bay.